Okay, here we are on City Heroes Video Tours. This is a revised video of how to do the Dap-Dap story arc and get to the bonus content badge. It would seem that I've received some data that indicates that my first video was a little too methodical. And that perhaps not all of the options in all the missions truly need to be finished. So, this one we're going to go through and we're going to disregard the options. And for the sake of expediency, because I'm running this arc like crazy on live, as well as tested it many times on beta, you can expect the QA powers to be utilized to speed things along. I will try not to speed over any relevant data, of course. But we're going to see what we can do to rip through this arc very fast with the fast and just take a look and see what's going on here. And if there's a more expedient way to get to the brass tacks badge mission, then great. I'm all for it. Meanwhile, my first video is still overall accurate. So, just stating facts. It just might be a little bit too complete as far as data goes. Okay. I originally thought that the question mark mission, which is up on the next level, was mandatory. That mission, this part of the mission only appears if you defeated Morena in a previous arc back in King's Row on blue side, Hero Vigilante. I believe the mission was from the Contact Eagle Eye. However, apparently it is not relevant to the bonus badge. Therefore, we're just going to wipe out the boss and we're going to move on. The next one is wipe out Carney Boss. There's allegedly a hidden room in here, but you have to have the Illusionist badge to access it. And this character has yet to complete that particular defeat badge. However, that's okay because, again, not relevant to brass tacks bonus badge. Repeat, not relevant. So my previous strategy about this mission, about just tearing through to the boss and finishing the boss off, still applies. And again, for the sake of expediency, there we go. Obviously, you can't use these powers on live. This is just to speed things along so we can just see if I'm right about the revised data that I have. Okay, the Warrior Dojo. Again, this is just wipe out the bosses that are in here. I am not aware of any secret bonus rooms in here, but if there are any, you probably need to have the defeat badge for warrior bosses, which this all has yet to complete, so we're not even going to worry about that. Because again, such a thing would not be relevant to the bonus badge at all. If there is any hidden bonuses in here related to that. And also, it doesn't need to be a wipeout map per se, just take down the bosses. So, we're just going to expedite our way right through this. There we go. They've been expedited. Okay. Alright then. Moving along. Okay, this next mission is a standard wipeout. Wipe out the Wyvern. There's going to be some Blackwing in here. If you're feeling brave, you could still crank this up to 8 spawn and go right ahead and try to farm it repeatedly for the Blackwing defeat badge. However, I'm level 50, they'd be level 50, and they reinforce each other very nicely, to put it. Also, it's a wipeout map, so you could inadvertently end it by wiping out all the enemies. So, up to you. It'll get you some progress on the Blackwing defeat badge. But if you're careful enough, you could use it to get all 250 defeats with a few resets on max spawn. I'll leave that up to you, though. But we're not here for that. We're just here to do all this. And while I know my character could easily tear through these without using the QA powers, I'm again on a bit of a time factor. And I just want to be able to get to the last mission. I could just use instant mission complete to get to the last mission very quickly, but I just want to see if a certain mission is really necessary to do the bonus options in that one. Alright, this one, there's no bonus options, just zoom on down, click the glowy, hallelujah. So that's what we're gonna do. We don't need to fight anyone, we don't need to wait for the Blackwing ambush. Then you could always risk keeping this mission as a gold bricker farm badge. I did test on a previous run, and if you set it to 8 spawn, you can get some smelters to appear. I didn't stick around long to test, there's other things to do, so I'm not sure what the ratio of smelter to gold bricker would be. But smelters have appeared in this on setting of 8. But of course, all those gold brickers are fully upgraded, fully armed and ready, so your choice. Use that mission for smelter farming, or go do the AN Strike Force. Your choice. It will likely take a few resets of that mission, too, to get the smelter badge. Okay, now this one, I previously had reported that if you take the 2 to the door without wiping out the other objectives, that you don't get the bonus badge. We're gonna see about that. So this time we're gonna do it, and we're just gonna go ahead without we're not gonna hit the bonus glowy, and we're not gonna wipe out the map. This might also be a map worth keeping, though, on an alt for farming the Cray badges, because there's a defeat badge for 100 of the tanks and 200 of the rad tanks. And I bet on full spawn setting you'd get some Cray cryogenesis in here, too. Whoops. One little thing. As I said, I'm going to skip the bonus of clicking on that glowy to make a name for myself. So I don't believe that's needed. So there we are. Mark and recall. Can't really skip the cutscene, but that's alright. And hey, if I'm wrong, then fine. You can still Ouroboros through this arc again and again and again until you get the bonus. So we shall see what we shall see. If it turns out I'm right, that you actually can take these 2 to the door without doing the other bonus item, then great. Can't skip the cutscene, but hey, she definitely embodies the concept of disgruntled employee, you know? And let's face it, how many of us would really love to just do something like that in a comedic fashion to the place that we work in, you know? Without blowing anyone up for real, of course, but still. Okay. No, yeah, she's definitely a disgruntled employee. That's a feeling I can relate to. There have been some jobs over the years where I've expressed a few choice thoughts about. But I think many of us have a job or two that was like that. Okay. This is the one that I need to do some... that I've received extra data about. Apparently the 9 optional hostages in here are not quite as mandatory as I thought. Or the bonus badge. If that is the case, then okay, not a problem. I've been wrong before. It's all good. I don't mind being wrong. Because my previous video, you still get the badge in it. It just takes a bit longer than what we're doing. All right then. To ensure stealth, turning off AoE. I am not, repeat not, going to go rescue the hostages. For expediency's sake, I want Mark and Recall back. So, I just instant recharged with the beta powers. If you do this on live outside of Ouroboros, there's always the arena recharge method. Or just wait the clock out on it. Whichever you want to do. So, moving along. The reason why I out Mark and Recall is the person that you have to escort out wants to fight their way out. And we really don't need to have to do that. So we're just going to zoom here to the Richte General Warlord. And where is he at? He's always in this room, but his spot always varies. There he is. Allegedly, you can fight him and get the bonus, but you still get the bonus, but you know what? I think it's still better not to fight him. You approach him with a respectful yet strong attitude. He cooperates. He gives you a quasi-guarantee of your safety to leave. Here's the person we gotta rescue. Their spawn point varies. It could be here, it could be up around in here, it could be up in here. Yeah. So, yeah. And there we are. She's out. And I'm going to use this again to quickly re-energize Mark and Recall for the next mission. Alright, so as you can see, we skipped all the optional stuff on the other missions. Now we're going to go for the final mission and see if we still get the bonus. And we're off. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So you can click it when it's open. Good. Usually you gotta wait for that thing to close. Alright. The Lab of Vazalok. Again, this alt has not done the Vazalok Lab Arc 2-parter. Just as an FYI. And we're also going to bring them back one by one by one. My other video stated that you ought to bring them back all at the same time. That's for efficiency's sake, but it's not necessarily mandated for the bonus. Either way, whether you bring them back all at once or one by one, you're still going to have to wipe out a good chunk of the map. And they are going to fight alongside you and aggro everything they see. Which, let's face it, that can be a bit of a long nuisance at times. Although this one I like. They have psionic power, so they can really wipe out the freak show in a hurry. But we're going to take her back. You could wait the 9 minutes for Mark and Recall to recharge, but again, I'm on a bit of a time crunch and I want to get this done quick, so we shall once again indulge the beta power for a quick recharge. So when you do this on live, if you're going to do it one by one with Mark and Recall, you got to wait out the recharge time or rescue them each one by one and use Mark and Recall to take all 3 back to the lab. Either way, there's going to be a lot of targets you're going to have to clear out. You got to clear out the ones guarding them, then you got to fight your way to the next one if you're dragging them along, etc. So. Alright, so I did not Mark and Recall, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to blast our way over to the final subject. Actually, no. I'm just going to do this instead. From what I've gathered, they cannot be defeated by the enemies. If they get knocked down to 0 health, they don't drop. But don't hold me to that. Okay, so zap. We're back. Recharge. Mark. There. Bringing them back activates the defenses on the lab, which you do need. Also, you want to get them all back to the lab and then fight Drek in his ambushes. You do not want to take them to Drek and fight him that way. From what I hear, that may not work. So just let Drek and his forces come to the lab, wipe them out, call it good. Okay, the gang's all here. Alright, so that part of the criteria is done. The next part, destroy the boss Drek. It's going to be a few ambushes till he arrives. And again, I am going to expedite matters with the QA kills. This is basically a quick test video to see if my new data about this arc is correct, and that my first video is a little too methodical. And hey, if my first video ends up being too methodical, that's fine. Remember, this is all done on beta before go live, where data flows fast and free and could be erroneous or could be changed. So, no big deal. I still recommend not fighting that Rickety Warlord in the other mission. Just don't do that. Just use the dialogue I have chosen. Call it good. With a mastermind, just park your pets like right here in front of the door and just let them go attack. My bot poison mastermind on live did that, and quite the sight to see. Poison traps set to trap them up as they come through the door. My bots just sit there and just blast them all to pieces. If they revive, they got shot down again real quick. There's Drek. Make sure there's no stragglers. Ooh, looks like there is. You allegedly don't have to wipe out the stragglers. The thing is that you defeat Drek. So, I'm just being a little bit methodical with this part. Expeditiously methodical, of course, with the QA. And I think we got them all. Oop, my mistake. Or my error. There's another one. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Alright, so we wiped out Drek and his mobs. After bringing all three back to the lab, one by one by one. Call the contact. Hey! Okay. It seems this revised video is going to be the key video after all. Alright. The dialogue options you pick with these don't overwhelmingly matter. You just gotta talk to them and then go talk to Piecemeal. Just say this, just say that, just say that, just say that. Hallelujah. You don't need to defeat Nemesis in this mission. You do not need to do that. So for expediency's sake, I want Mark and Recall restored. There. Now, by the way, I could easily use the QA kill powers and wipe him and his goons out when the fight starts, but there's no need for that. There is no extra bonus for doing that, and that's not what you need to do to get the badge. Now, they're not going to pursue me. That's never happened yet. So, I can wait right here for the clock to run out, or I can just come right back here. Either way, Nemesis and his crew don't pursue. Brass tacks badge. The completion badge and the brass tacks badge. So, in conclusion, my first video was a little too methodical about how to get this. All you have to do to get to qualify for this mission is get to the final mission. Take them all back to the lab, either one by one or all three at once. And then defeat Drek and his forces, and then you should then qualify for this mission. All other options on the other missions are not relevant. They do not count for this. So that's good. So, it looks like this vid's going to be going up onto the channel instead, and I will be putting the other one on hiatus and not use it. Since this one's a little bit more direct and a bit less methodical. Again, just go through the missions. Skip all the optional stuff until you get to the final mission. Rescue those three. Take them back to the lab one at a time or all at once, whichever you want. With Mark and Recall, you're best off doing it all at once. And then defeat Drek in that fight. For the mission with the Richte General, don't fight him. That's a waste of time. Do not fight him. And it looks like you don't need to save the 9 hostages, so hallelujah. Alright then. That is going to be a cut and a print and a wrap on this one. And, as always, make sure you go outside after turning off your computer and play for a while. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel as always.